everybody, my name's Oksana Rudko and this is my brand of knitted bags, Accessory. Today I will show you how to make such a stylish bucket bag. We are going to crochet it. It has a rounded bottom, so here have a look how it looks. In this case it was made of Lurex cord. This one, Macaroni Knit and Shine. It was previously, now it is called Shikimiki Shiny Cotton. The same, just slightly different one. So for such a bucket bag you will need a little bit more than one skein, 230 meters. And a skein, if you make it smaller, then you can make it out of one skein for sure. So now I will show you the examples which you can use to make it out of different cotton cords and other materials, and I'll show you thinner and thicker ones so that you can compare them and choose the one that you like. All the measurements according to this bag I give you for this cord, a thin cord, you see, that's 1.5 to 2 millimeters maximum. It's cotton Lurex cord. So you can decide which thickness of cord you're going to use. So according to the measurements, here we have 20 rows in the circle. In the middle, you see in the V shape with increases. How to make increases I will show you later. And also we make 11 rows without increases, and then we make the pattern, this one. We work this in the circle, and here about 29 rows, 29, and then we make finishing trimming 2 rows of single crochet, the same one like here in the V shape. So now I will show you the examples, some samplers, tell you about the materials, and then we will start working such bag. So here you have all the samples that I have made for this bag. They are made of polyester, polypropylene cords. So let's have a look. These two, for example, they are polypropylene cord 2mm Shikimiki PP Macrame Mini. This one with Lurex, this one ordinary. Pattern, here you can compare, it's the same pattern, but you can see that this one looks bigger and more kind of bumpy, and the back will have a slightly thicker shape. Then 3mm polypropylene cord, 3mm Shikimiki PP Macrame Midi. In these two colors I decided to show you several colors because it looks also a little bit different. It's even thicker, of course it's thicker because it's midi than this one, but it also looks nice and it will keep its shape. And then here I have 3mm polyester cord Shikimiki Mati Macrame. This one I'm going to use for the bag. It is the thickest one, although it has 3mm like here, but polyester cords are a little bit thicker than polypropylene cords. So I will show you how this bag is going to look in the thickest cord that I have shown you, and of course the measurements here will be different because it's much thicker than the original thin cord. That's why you will have several examples and you will have several options which cord to choose. Either you want to make it soft and thin, or you want to make it thicker. I think that it will also keep its shape even better because the cord is thicker. So let's get started. And I wish you much joy while creating your bag. You can see measurements on the screen for different cords. So for making this bag we will need 2 skeins of Shikimiki Mati Macrame that has 135 meters. In this video lesson, I will also show you all the stages of creating this bag, starting with base, then sewing in the lining. We will need some fabric for lining, of course. We will need sewing needle with matching thread color. Maybe you will need some knitting markers. The crocheting hook that we are going to use for this cord is 4 millimeters. And you can also use 3.5 just in case if you need a smaller crocheting hook to hide the free ends, for example. Of course, pair of scissors and the cord. So the thinner is your cord, the smaller crocheting hook you are going to use. You will also need some chain, for example, or a shoulder strap, or whatever you're going to use. This can be knitted strap, and you will need such tips because you need to make a drawstring, but it's up to you. So let's get started. First, we will make the bottom. It's going to be rounded. So how do we make a round? We make a magic loop. Put the shorter end on your hand, twist it around your fingers like this. Our magic loop is ready. Now we start making stitches. Insert the hook into the magic loop and pull the working thread like this. Hold it like this with your fingers, and now you need to make the first stitch. Again, insert the hook and pull it through the loop on the hook. So here I recommend you not to make it too tight first rounds. So now we are just casting on, then we'll make single crochets. So don't make them too tight, otherwise it will be a little bit difficult for you to work, because you're going to work in the circle, and especially when you work in the middle, in the V shape, it becomes a little bit thick, and it will be difficult to work it. So the first stitch is ready. And we need to make some more, 5 stitches exactly. So if you are a newbie, have a look. Single crochet is made like this. Insert the hook into the magic loop, pull the working thread. You now have 2 loops. Make a yarn over and work 2 together. That's 1 single crochet ready. So 1, 2, yeah, 2 ready. 4 more, so that we have 6 in total. Pull the working thread, work 2 together. 4, 5, and 6. So together with the first stitch we have 6 stitches. We have made 5 single crochets. So now we take the shorter free end and start pulling it, drawing it closer so that we have almost a circle here. And it is our first row. So how do we join it? We make this loop slightly longer. Then we insert the hook into these horizontal half loops, 2 half loops. We pull this free end, this loop, into the half loops and pull it like this. So here you can tighten it a little bit. Then we need to return it so that we have joined it nicely and seamlessly. We need to again insert the hook into in the first row. It is the most difficult because here is difficult to get under this first loop. this first V shape that we need to make. It's very difficult to find it because of this first stitch. So it is here under, you can see it if you turn to the other side, you will see it. Here it is, the first stitch. So we need to make it. It's on the right from the loop that we have here. We can't see it on the right side. So if you turn it to the wrong side, you'll be able to see it. And on the other side, you can see it really easy here. It's only the first row, then it will be easier. So we leave this loop, we make one more loop here. So now we have two loops, one on the hook, the other we return to the hook and work them two together. So this we have done. Now the main principle of working in the circle, of the perfect circle. In the first round we will have, so now we have six single crochets without an increase. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can see 5 braids. The 6 is already under this one, so pay attention. In the next row, we will make into each stitch of this row, into each of the 6 stitches, one increase. So how do we do this? Here we have already done one stitch. We insert the hook in the same opening. No, that was not right. Wait. Here, make sure that you insert it into the same opening. Yeah, it's difficult with the first stitch. And make a stitch. That's an increase. Now I will explain a little bit more in detail what we do here. Now the pattern V-shape, so-called V-shape pattern, is made into the middle, not under the upper half loops as we usually do. It is made into the middle of a stitch, so that when we make it, we kind of insert the hook into the V-shape here. And on the other side, we see that it comes in between two loops, two half loops. And as we make an increases in each opening, we will make 2 stitches in the same opening. Pull the working thread and make a single crochet. So that now we have 1 stitch and then 2 increases. In the previous row we had 6 stitches. In this row we'll have 12, because in each stitch we will make 2 single crochets. So we look for the next stitch. It's here. Insert it into the opening, and under this half loop make 1 single crochet, and then in the same opening pull the working thread and make a stitch. Next, here. Don't make it tight, remember here we work loose. Then, next stitch, also make 2 single crochets into one, here, 2. And the last one. here we also make one stitch and the second in the same opening. Tighten the middle here. So let's count, let's check how many stitches we have made. So we start working here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the 12th stitch will be our false slip stitch, which will join this round. We'll join it, and that will be the 12th stitch. Here it is. And here's its upper half loops. We join according to the same principle as I have already shown you. So again, make this loop a little bit longer. Insert the hook under the upper half loops of the first stitch, like this. Pull this loop. Then we need the braid that is exactly on the right from this loop. So we insert the hook here, make sure on the wrong side you can see it. See these two half loops, little half loops on the right from the loop. Here we pull the working thread, pull it right. Don't forget about that one. So now you have two loops on the hook, and we work them as a single crochet. So we have made a transition to the third row. We made 6 chains, we cast on 6 chain, then we made an increases so that in each row we have 12. In each row we will have 6 increases, so it will be 6 stitches more than the previous. Then we will make increases in every other row. So first row 6, second row 12, third row will be plus 6, and that will make 18. Here we made increases in every stitch. In the third row we will make the following pattern. We make 1 single crochet and then 1 increase. We make 1 single crochet and 1 increase. So here we will alternate 1 stitch and 2 stitches into 1. Here we kind of have already made 1, so in the next stitch we'll make 2 single crochets. That will be an increase. Now we make 1 single crochet in the V shape, don't forget. And now we make 2 single crochets into 1. That's an increase. 1 single crochet. Make sure that you insert the hook right. Check yourself on the wrong side. If your crochet hook comes in the middle of 2 little half loops, then it's right. If you are not sure that you made it right, have a look. You will see where you have 1 single crochet, where you have 2 single crochets into 1. And you just remember that you alternate 1 single crochet. You have started with 1 single crochet, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and so you alternate. So if you made 2, then you make 1. When you have made 1, then you make 2. So we see a nice circle, perfect circle, 1, and then an increase 2. So in this row we need to make 18 single crochets. So in each row you will have 6 stitches more, plus 6 stitches, because you made 6 increases. So let's count, starting with this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And now on the hook we have stitch number 18, so that's right. And we join. Find this first horizontal, insert the hook under it, pull the loop to the other side, tighten it slightly, find the stitch on the right of this loop, pull the working thread, and now you have 2 loops on the hook. Work them 2 together. Don't forget about that loop that we have left on the wrong side. So we have made 3 rows. In the 4th row we will make also 6 increases, but we'll make them in every 3rd stitch. We skip 2 and make an increase into the 3rd. So we make 2 single crochets, an increase, 2 single crochets, an increase. And here it's very important to shift increases so that our circle is perfect, not angular. We don't make increases one above the other. It's better to shift increases. So let's have a look how we shift them. We see that we've made an increase here above this stitch. There was an increase in this row, right? So it's better to make an increase after this. So we'll make 2 single crochets and then we'll make an increase into the stitch where there was no increase so far. So you see, we need to shift it like this, an increase, then 2 single crochets, an increase, 2 single crochets. So we make an increase here right where we have made the first stitch, and then we make 2 single crochets. You see that in the previous row there was an increase there, so we don't make it. We make just 2 single crochets there, and then into the 3rd stitch here we make an increase. An increase will be above the stitch that was just a single crochet in the previous row. So we will make an increase here. 2 single crochets into 1. Bottom will be quite stiff, and that's good. So we alternate 2 single crochets, 1, then 2nd, and then an increase. 1 and 2, and then into the single crochet we now make an increase, 2 single crochets into 1. And then we'll make 1 single crochet and 1 single crochet. If it is difficult for you to count, then you can take a knitting marker. You can either mark the increases or you can mark the single crochets. I think it's better to mark the increases, so you will see where you had an increase. So if it's difficult for you to count increases, you can use markers. So here I make a stitch, then I make 2 single crochets, 1 and an increase, 1 and 2 stitches into 1, then 1 single crochet and 1 single crochet, and then again an increase. one single crochet and one more single crochet. That's our fourth row. So here we will have 24 single crochets. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and the 24th is on the hook. So 24th we will now join the round as we usually do. So we make this false stitch, tighten it, leave it, make one more, find this middle, make a loop, don't forget about the first loop, and now make a single crochet out of them. So we have made 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the 5th row we will alternate the following pattern. We will make 3 stitches, then an increase. So each row we will make more stitches between increases, yeah? So we'll make 6 increases in each row, and it means that we'll have one more stitch between increases. First we made increase in each stitch, then in every other, then we skipped 2, now we'll skip 3. And again we need to shift. So that we get a perfect circle, we need to shift increases. So in this case we'll do the following. We can see that first increase was here, so that we make it after the increase in the previous row. And so we will go on working 3 single crochets and 1 increase. So 1 stitch we have already made, we make second stitch, and now we make an increase after the increase in the previous row, you see. One and the second in the same opening, that's an increase. Then we will do like this, 3 single crochets, then an increase, 3 single crochets, and then an increase. 1, 2, 3. Now we'll make an increase. And as you see, this increase will be exactly after the increase in the previous row, so we don't make an increase into the stitch where there was an increase in the previous row. In this case you will always get a perfect circle, and you can easily check yourself, make sure that your increases aren't one above the other, they are in different stitches. If you see where the increase is, you will not have to count every stitch, you'll just see where the previous increase was, so you will see where you make it in this row. You just need to get used to it. So we go on working like this till the end of the round. So we make 3 single crochets and then we make an increase. Increase is 2 single crochets into 1. So that each stitch has 3 stitches between. An increase, then 3 stitches. So we move till the end, and then I'll show you how we go on working. So now I have several more stitches, just wanted to show you. When we make the last stitch, pay attention that at the beginning of the row we make 2 stitches, we have made 2 stitches before the increase. That means that here at the end of this round we will have this third stitch, but actually it will be the first 1, 2, 3 and increase, 1, 2, 3 and increase, and this is true for all the stitches. So pay attention to this, that the third stitch comes at the end. You don't have to make 3 and then an increase. We start with 2 and an increase. So we join the stitches. You can again check yourself, count. If this is the 5th row, in the 5th row you need 30 single crochets. I'll join the 5th row according to the same principle as we usually do. In the 6th row, we make increases after each 4 stitches. So, again, we need to shift. We'll make increase after the increase in the previous row. So, let's have a look. What do we have here? In the previous row here, we don't have increases. We had them here. So, then here we'll make 1, and here I make 1, 2, 3 and 4, an increase. So we see that increase in this row is right after the increase in the previous row. In this case, our circle, first of all, will look nice and perfectly round, not angular, and secondly, it's easier to keep the pattern. And it's easier to see if you have made a mistake. And then we make 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase. And an increase. 4 stitches and an increase. So 6th row is ready. Now I have only to close it. Here we have 36 stitches. You can check yourself and count. In this row, that's 7th row, we'll be making 5 single crochets and then an increase. 5 and an increase. So here, make sure that you check at the beginning of the row whether you had increases in the previous row here. You see that the increase was here, so we need to make an increase in the next stitch after the increase in the previous row so that we keep the same pattern. So we'll make an increase exactly here where we start, and then we work 5 single crochets and an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make an increase. 1 and 2 in the same opening. Check yourself, make sure that increase in the previous row was 1 step to the right. Then we make 5 single crochets and then an increase. 3, 4, 5, and an increase. 2 stitches into 1. And so we go on working till the end of this round. That's going to be the 7th row, 7th round, and you will have 42 stitches. So we have made 7 rows, 7 rounds, that is. So we join it into the round. And so like this you can work any size of the circle that you need according to this principle. So in the 8th row we will already make 6 single crochets and then an increase. And so we alternate 6 and an increase. Then in the next row it will be 7, then 8, then 9, and so on and so on. So here for the 8th row, let's have a look where our increase was. Increase is here. So we need to make increase after the increase in the previous row here. Everything that's before this, we make single crochets and then we make an increase. And then start counting from the increase. So we have already made 1 stitch, we make 1 more stitch. And here we can already make an increase after the increase in the previous row. 1, 2, increase ready. Now we need to make 6 single crochets and then an increase, 6 single crochets and then an increase, and so we alternate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and an increase. 1, 2 in 1 base. So, and you check, make sure that increase in this row goes after the increase in the previous row. So that's it. We go on working 6 stitches and increase, 6 stitches and increase, and so repeat. Finish this round. And here we have about several stitches. You see, here was an increase, at the beginning there was an increase, and here we have 6 stitches without increase. And so we join the round and we start the next round. So here we had 6 stitches and then an increase, which means that here in this row we'll make it after each 7 stitches. So let's have a look where we are. Here we had an increase in the previous row. Didn't have it here, so here we don't have to make an increase. We see that an increase was here. Here it is. So we'll have to make an increase in the next stitch after the increase in the previous row, and so we will follow. We'll make 7 and increase, 7 and increase. 3. Here I make single crochet, so here I get 4 single crochets. At the end of the round I'll make 3 single crochets to make 7 in total. Here I see that we need to make an increase. So we make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and we make an increase. 1, 2. Then again we make 7 single crochets and increase, 7 single crochets and increase, and so we repeat till the end of the round. So I have made this round 54 stitches. Now we join it and we start the 10th row. So here we need to make increase after each 8 stitches. So let's have a look where we are, where the increases were. We see that we had the nearest increase here, so first increase will be after the increase in the previous row. So we see the increase in the previous row here. It means that our increase in this row will be here. So if somehow you can't see where the increase in the previous row was and you don't understand, then you can count first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the 7th here I make an increase. So in total it will be 8, which means that I will make 2 stitches here. And so we go on working like this. 8 stitches, an increase, 8 stitches and an increase. Check from time to time that increases in this row go after the increase in the previous row. And so we go on working till the end of the round. When you have finished this round, I have joined this round already. So now we start the 11th row. It's the last row here of the bottom, I mean. It will be increase after each 9 stitches. So let's have a look where the increase was in previous row. So we are here and there are no increases before this, at the end of the row I mean. So here we see that next increase is here. We will have to make an increase after it. So we make single crochets, then make an increase, and then we'll make 9 single crochets and an increase. So let's check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we make 8 single crochets and an increase. The 9th will be at the end of the round. And an increase, and then we'll make 9 and an increase all the time. Like this. Increase is after the increase in the previous row, so we made it right. Then we make 9 single crochets and an increase. And so we go till the end of this round. So in the 11th round we go on working like this, 9 single crochets and an increase until we finish 11th round. Here we join it. So now I want to compare it to the previous bag that I have made with a different cord. So here it's a little bit, I think one more row will be okay. And then we will go on working without increases. So 12th round. In the 12th round we will make increase after each 10 stitches. So let's have a look where the first increase will be. It will be here after this one. So let's count here. Here will be an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exactly, yeah, you see here 10 stitches, so the increase will be the last stitch in this round. So we'll make 10 stitches and then an increase. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we make an increase. Two stitches into one. Check that your increase is in the next stitch after the increase, so you can check all the increases, you see them. And so we go on working like this, 10 stitches and an increase. At the end of this round, that is the end of the 12th round, here we have made an increase in the last stitch. Now we need to join it. And so now we will start working in spiral without joining each circle. And so like this we will go from bottom to the sides of the bag. When we stop making increases, it will go just up and it will form the sides of the bag. And so we will make a certain amount of rows and we will start working with a pattern like this. That's why, as here I'm using another cord, and this cord is thicker than the previous one. Previous was thinner. So here we will make 5 rows without increases, and then we'll meet and we will have a look whether we need to make it rounder or not. So now we make single crochets, just make single crochets without any increases, and here in each opening, in each V-shape stitch, we make a single crochet. So just work in spiral. When you have finished it, you just go on working in spiral without joining the round. And so we work 5 rows. You can put a marker so that you don't forget where you have started making these 5 rows. Although you'll be able to see it in the pattern, just in case, put this knitting marker, you will be able to see. First row I'll go together with you, join it, and then you will work 4 more rows on your own. And then we will have a look how many rows more we need. So, first round without increases is almost ready. So here I'm putting the marker, but I need to join it, and then I'll return it. So pull this loop like this, likewise. That's the row where we have started. I'll put the marker back. Okay, I'll insert it into the next stitch. And so like this, we need to make 4 more rounds without increases. And then I'll show you what we do next. So I have made 5 rows without increases. And it's such nice rounded, so I think it's even better than this one. So if we compare with this one, I think that perhaps I'll make 2 more rounds without increases, and then we'll start making our basic pattern. So let's make 2 more rounds, and it will be 7 in total, 7 rows without increases. And then we'll start working our main pattern. Seven rows without increases are ready. And now we need to finish this round. I will make this loop a little longer and cut it, because we'll need to start with a new skein so that we finish this round nicely. We need to imitate this slip stitch. So here into this braid we will insert a hook from the wrong side to the right side, pull it, then we insert the hook from the wrong side into the previous stitch. It's where this cord just started. You see where this loop started? Under both half loops here we return the hook into the middle of this braid where this loop that we are making now started, so we just return it backwards and imitate a stitch. Tighten it slightly and make it look like all the rest. You see, it is absolutely seamless where you have finished. You can hide it behind several stitches, then sew the end and cut it, and here likewise. We will hide it behind several stitches, then sew the end and cut it. So Now I'll show you our main pattern. So first of all, for this pattern we need an even numbered amount of stitches. Here in this round we had this even numbered, so if you are using this pattern you can know that, pay attention that here you need an even numbered amount of stitches. So we start basic pattern. Insert the hook. You can start any way you like. You insert the hook in the middle of this upper braid into the back half loop. Pull the working thread. And now we need in the same braid, but this time under both half loops, not inside but under the half loops like this, we make 2 loops, and in the next we also make 1 and pull it. Now we have 3 loops on the hook. We make a yarn over, work 2 together and 2 together, so we kind of make it in 2 steps, and make a lifting chain. Now in the next stitch we insert the hook. Next 2 stitches will be next part of the pattern. We insert the hook under both half loops, pull the work, then under second both half loops, pull the cord, make 2 together and 2 together, and make a lifting chain. Then we repeat. Under both half loops we make 1 loop, under next 2 half loops we make 1 more loop, and work 2 together and 2 together. Make a lifting chain. So like this we go on working in the round, and so it will form this pattern. Look how gentle it looks on thin cord, and how interesting it also looks on thick cord. You see that here we have a great difference because the thickness of the cord is different. So we repeat this. We insert the hook, make 1 loop, in the next we make 1 more loop, and then we work 2 together and 2 together, lifting chain. And so we continue working like this till the end of this round, and then we'll meet at the end. I'll show you how to join this round with this pattern. So we have almost finished this round. I'll make last 2 stitches. Don't forget lifting chain, and we join it. To join the round here we need to insert the hook. Here it's really easy and it will be absolutely invisible. We insert the hook under these 2 half loops, that's first on this side, closest to us, in front of this stitch, and join it with a slip stitch. So this loop we pull at once through the loop on the hook. Make a lifting chain. And so now the pattern will be repeated, but this time in chessboard pattern. So here the pattern will be where we had an openings in the previous row. So how do we start it? We will be making our pattern into these 2 loops that are above the opening. So insert the hook here under both half loops, make first loop, in the next, make one more and work 2 together and 2 together. Make lifting chain. And again, you see this little button is in between 2 in the previous row, so they kind of form the chessboard. Insert the hook in under these 2 half loops, make 1 loop, then under second make a half loop, work 2 together and 2 together and lifting chain, don't forget about it. So like this we go on working this pattern till the end of this round. So like this we go on working row after row. As this bag I have made in different cords, so here I will approximately measure the size of the bag. So without this upper trimming it's approximately 20 centimeters. So here we will make as many rows as we can make in approximately 20 centimeters, starting from here. So go on working in spiral 20 centimeters. Maybe I will add one more row or maybe make one row less, so we will see. Here, of course, it's up to you, you can make the length that you need. Also pay attention that we will have 2 rows on top. So go on working, I'll show you the second, and then you will go on working 20 centimeters of this pattern before we finish and trim the bag. So here we go on working on the second round. And we need to make one more repeat, 1 loop in the second stitch, another loop, 2 together and 2 together and a lifting chain. So again we insert the hook under these 2 half loops and make a slip stitch into the loop on the hook. So we insert the hook here, you see this first 2 half loops that we see here where we have started this round. Pull the working thread at once through the loop on the hook and the lifting chain, and so like this you go on working 20 centimeters. You see the transition from row to row is absolutely invisible here, and we go on working. We work in a chessboard pattern. So here, next row where we see these 2 loops above an opening, we make this puffy stitch. Make a puffy stitch, 1 loop, second loop, 2 together and 2 together and a lifting chain. And so continue working 20 centimeters. Here, if we see, it will be about 20 rows, so you can take measuring tape and from time to time measure your work so that you see when you have done 20 centimeters. And then I'll show you how to make the trimming, how to add handle and finish the bag. I want once again to show you how we join the rounds. Here I have already made several rows. In each row you can see this place where it's a little bit confusing. So you see the beginning of the round. Here is the last stitch of the round. Here we still have one more place for the stitch, for this puffy stitch. So I make last puffy stitch, one loop, second loop. So don't mix it with the first loop of the round. Here I make the last part of this pattern, make a lifting chain, and then here you join it with a slip stitch. And so like this you go on working. I have already done several rows so that you can already see the pattern. So go on working till you have 20 centimeters. So I have already made 20 centimeters of this main pattern. Let's measure whether I get it right. Yeah, it's 20 centimeters exactly. I think that we can make several more rows, or we can stop at this. I think that if you gather it like this, it will be enough. So it's a little bit, yeah, I think that's enough. And besides, we will make 2 rows in this pattern to make the trimming here on top for the drawstrings. So how do we finish this pattern? I'll undo the last stitch so that you can see. So we start working it as we usually do, but we don't do the lifting chain. Instead of this, we make this loop a little bit bigger. Then we insert it under these 2 half loops. Here, just like we were doing the joining of the round. This loop remains here. And we insert the hook into the same stitch here where this loop left on the wrong side, pull the working thread, make one more loop, join it here, and make a chain. And so in this row we will go on working single crochets in this round. We will make in each stitch, in each braid that you can see on the top, you will make a single crochet. So this will be the first. Insert the hook under these half loops, you see. Make a single crochet. Into the next, make a single crochet. And in each stitch we make one single crochet, working in the round, just single crochets. We'll make this round and then I'll show you how we make the next one. At the end of this round I'll show you the next one. So I have made one row of these single crochets. And here I am almost at the place where I need to join the round. I'll make one more last single crochet here. And now we need to join this round and start the second one. Here we make it according to the same principle. We make this loop a little bit longer, then insert the hook under both half loops, pull it to the wrong side. This one. Yeah, pull it to the wrong side, tighten slightly, hold it with your fingers. And now we need to make the V-shape pattern as we did at the beginning. So we need to make a round of V shapes. here. We hold this one on the wrong side, we insert the hook under this stitch. We see the V shape slightly to the right from our loop on the wrong side, so we insert the hook into it. Pull the working thread and insert the hook into that loop. Work them together like a chain. So we have our first V shape. And so we go on working into the middle of the stitch, into this V shape, make a single crochet, like we did here on this side. Again, insert the hook into the middle, into the V shape, and make a single crochet. Here, make sure you also pierce it in the middle of a stitch, between two back half loops. And so we go on working in the round. And make a single crochet in every stitch. Make a stitch into the middle till the end of this round. Then I'll show you how we make the trimming, whether we leave it like this or whether we'll make one more row more. So I have made 2 rounds of single crochets. I think that will do. I'll stop at this. So here we will need to join this round. For this I make a big loop, cut it, and then make a false slip stitch. Like we did before, we need to imitate this loop. So we'll insert the hook under 2 half loops from the wrong side to the right side here. From the inside, insert the hook upwards, here where the cord started, and pull it back to the wrong side. So it's ready, you see? The finish is seamless. I'll hide this free end behind several stitches on the wrong side. Hide it, sew the end and cut it. And now we will make a drawstring and attach the handles. We'll make about 1 meter of drawstring, then we'll insert it and give it a try. We'll see whether we need it longer or that will do. So for the drawstring I'm going to use the same cord as we have quite thick cord. Here we can just make a chain, just cast on chains, and that will do for the drawstring because the cord is thick. So we cast on about 1 meter of chain, and then we'll try it onto the back. Insert it into the openings and try to make a drawstring out of it, and we'll see whether we need to make it longer or not. So, cast on chains. I have cast on 1 meter of chain, and now we will insert it to make a drawstring. Choose any place where you want to insert it. So first you choose which is going to be your front side of the bag, and now you skip 2 rows, these 2 single crochet rows, and 3 rows of puffy stitches, and approximately here we will be inserting this drawstring along this line. We will insert it into every 2 stitches. So I'll take a bigger crocheting hook, and with the short end, this one, which I have cut. By the way, this where I have finished casting on the chains, I haven't cut the cord yet. Maybe I will have to make it longer, so for the time being I will leave it like this on the skein. So now I will take another end and start inserting it. Insert the hook from the inside, pull this chain, leave this free end here. So each 2 puffy stitches, pull it It's really easy to pull it with polyester cord. And so we pull it back and forth each 2 stitches. To the wrong side and to the right side along the same line. So we'll cut this, and it started freeing, and just a little bit left. So I have pulled the drawstring. I have made the length so that these 3 ends are not too long. We will insert the tips. So that if you open the bag, you need to make sure that these 3 ends will be enough to open the bag. So open it, make sure that 3 ends is enough. And now I will show you how to insert the tips onto these 3 ends of a drawstring, how to insert the handle, and to make the lining. And our bag will be ready. If you tighten it like this, it also looks quite finished, almost complete. We just have to add the accessories. So now I'll show you how we insert the tips onto the ends of drawstrings. For this we need such metal tips. I decided to use golden accessories for this bag. So with polyester cord we can sew, or we can carefully burn it slightly with match or lightener just to stop it from fraying, and that will be okay. Because we will cover this with a tip, it won't be visible that it is black. So leave it for a while. And then for this we will need several screwdrivers, flat one, so that it's easy to insert it, and then a cross, like a cross shape one, to insert these little screws. So carefully insert it onto the tip. Use a flat screwdriver to help you. So push it inside so that it holds well. It's quite easy to do this. Like this. And then we take this little screw and insert it . Insert it like this. And the second one likewise, insert it into the tip and then screw. So this ready. Again, try to draw it like this. Make a knot or two, and so it will be nice. And now we can proceed to making the lining. So I have made one more bucket bag, a tiny version of it. So I will give you measurements for different kinds of cords. This one is, for example, polypropylene 2mm with lurex. You see, it looks interesting with lurex and without lurex. So as to the sizes, here for the bottom we will work 9 rows with increases. Then we make here sides 6 rows without increases. And then here we make it 17 rows of our base pattern. So that is 17 with these puffy stitches. Then for the edge I've made single crochet row, and then I have made a slip stitch row. It's also nice for the trimming to make slip stitches into the back half loop. If here I have made this bag with the same method as here, then it would be like this. So here you have several options. I'll show you just like an option. Here you can add one more row of slip stitches. Here we need to insert the hook inside the stitch. So we start from the back half loop and insert the hook again under the back half loop and make a slip stitch. Pull it at once through the loop on the hook. Again, insert it into the back half loop. According to this principle, you can add one more row of trimming to your bag, if you like, just to make such an edge. And here the drawstring I made also just a chain, and that's it. So that's the mini version of this bag, but it's also enough for the purse, for lipstick and the little mirror. It looks very small, but at the same time you can put something into it. It's quite enough for an evening out. So now let's proceed to the lining. Now I will show you how we can make a lining and sew it into this bag. For this we will need some fabric for lining and we need measurements. Our lining will consist of two parts that will be the rounded bottom, the same size as the bottom, and then the base for the sides of the bag. So it will consist of two parts. The diameter of the bottom we will now measure on the inside with a measuring tape through the center, straight through the center. We measure the diameter. So that here 18 centimeters will be in diameter. So you can write it somewhere. Measure your bag. Diameter of the bottom is 18 centimeters. And now we will also have a rectangular part that will be for the sides. We need height and the sides. So for the height, we need to start from the drawstring, approximately from the level of the drawstring, and we go down to the bottom. Along the bottom I get 20 centimeters till the bottom, that is, till the bottom, of course. 20 centimeters is the height, and now we need to measure the circumference of the bag. We measure it here inside the bag. Put a marker where you have started so that you don't forget. I'll just remember that I have started here from this cord, the free end that I haven't hidden yet. So I'll start measuring here from this free end, and so you put it tight along the wall of the bag. So here you try to make it as precise as you can to get right measurements. All along the perimeter of the bag. here is where we have started, so here is my kind of marker. 54 centimeters. 54 centimeters here. So we put it down 54 centimeters, but we need to count the amount of fabric that has 1.5 centimeter added for the seam allowance. So all around here we need to add 1.5 centimeter seam allowance for sewing the details, and here as well we will add 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.5, that will make 55.5, and here also 20 plus 1.5 will be 21.5, and here 19.5. So we need to cut pieces of fabric diameter 19.5 and a rectangle that has sides such as 55.5 centimeters and 21.5 centimeters. So here I have a piece of fabric. I have cut the rectangle and I have cut the round. So first what we do is we make seams on top, which we are going to sew to the back. So I usually make 1.5 centimeter fold and mark it with sewing pin. For me it's easier to sew it like this with sewing pins. You can do as you are used to, with sewing pins or without sewing pins, at once making a seam. So here we make a seam along this fold. If you have a tag you can add it. I usually add it here inside. And make a seam. And then after you have made these seams, I'll show you what we do next. So I have made a seam here on top. I have sewn my label. Now we fold it like this and we make a seam. First I will also put some sewing pins and then make a seam here. Here we make a seam, then I'll show you what we do next and how we join it with the round bottom. So we've made a seam here. Now we need to join it with a round bottom. I do not quite like this sewing because it's not very handy, but nevertheless we need to do this. So we put it next to the other right side of fabric facing, and we put sewing pins here all along the perimeter. Use sewing pins, then it will be easier for you to sew. Somewhere on the rounded parts you will have to make little creases, it will be okay. Make a crease on the round, I mean, because here you have to join rectangle and the circle. It's difficult part of the job, yet we have to do this. And so we go on inserting the pins like this. So we have done this, okay. Now we need to make a seam around this, and I will show you how to sew the lining into the back. So we have made the lining, now we need to sew it into the back. And now we will insert it into the back. So I have already inserted these clasps on the sides, on two sides, in the middle between the drawstrings. So now we insert the lining into the back like this, push it towards the bottom, and first of all, if you have got a label, you need to place it on the back side. So have a look where the front and back sides are, so you need it like this. I do it approximately here, where the drawstrings on the right side, there the label on the back side is. And so, like this, a little lower than the drawstrings are, maybe one row lower, we will sew it along one line. Make sure that the lining is okay, that you have spread it. Find the right place for the label, opposite drawstrings if you have a label, of course. And we make a seam a little lower than the drawstring line. So I was using white for the drawstring, but now perhaps I will use an off-white color for sewing it into the back, to match the color of the back. If it is easier for you, you can pin it in place with sewing pins first. I think that this will make it easier. You can pin the lining into the back and then make the seam. For me it's easier to start sewing it once, I don't know why, but I just prefer to start sewing it like this. So now I'll show you the method how I sew the lining into the back. You can make a knot here, it won't be visible. So fix it in the fabric. Then you insert the needle straight into the crease, straight into the top of the fabric. It's a place where it was folded. So now I'll show you. Here you see the top of the fabric. It's the place where we have folded it. I insert the needle exactly here into the very top, pierce it with a needle like this. You can feel that it's empty inside. So here you need to make a tiny stitch into the very top of the fabric, like this. And I pierce it horizontally so that I can come out a little bit further, like this. Several millimeters, maybe 5 millimeters. First stitch into the fabric, and then I make a little stitch into the knitted fabric, into the back. With a polyester cord you can even pierce it through, or you can just pierce the back. It's really easy. You can pierce it through here if you have your thread in matching color. Then here you make a teeny tiny stitch almost where you have pierced it, and here on the wrong side you make a diagonal stitch a little further, so that on the right side you have a teeny tiny stitch, and on the right side you have in the diagonal you come with the needle out a little further. Make sure that it goes along the same line, along the line of your drawstring, for example. Looks quite nice. So again you pierce the fabric, and then again you pierce the back and return the needle inside. You pierce it a teeny tiny stitch here to the right side, here we pierce it a little bit further so we can make a next step, a next stitch about 5 millimeters to the left. Here we follow the same row, we follow the parallel line with the drawstrings, and again we pierce the fabric, find the very top of the fabric and pierce it, and make a little stitch. I'll try to show you a close-up. Pierce it and again come out of the fabric on the top, 5 millimeters. Then again we pierce the knitted back, and so we repeat. And like this we follow along the perimeter and sew the lining to the back. Take your time, don't hurry, and sew the lining into the back like this. So I have already sewn the lining to the back. Looks like this. You see how nicely it fits into the back. I have already inserted these rounded clasps so that it's easy to insert them. I'll pull the drawstrings. You can tie several knots. You can leave it like this or make a kind of knot like this. I prefer to make a knot like this with double cords. So I have already attached a chain on the lobster clasps. I have chosen such a thin golden chain, and I have also made a mini copy of this bag. Here I have made a knot. I haven't found the tips. I will find them and then I will insert them as well, just left for the time being like this. And accessories I also haven't bought yet. So here I have 3 bags in 3 different sizes ready. You can see that it's a really versatile design and they all look interesting. I think that each of them has something peculiar, and you can now compare how the same pattern can look differently in different material made of different cord, when it is a thin cord 1.5 to 2 millimeters, when it is 2 millimeter cord, or it is 3 millimeter cord. So thank you for watching and thank you for crocheting with me. This was Oksana Rudko and my brand of knitted bags / accessory. See you, good luck!